Chocolate is one of the most beloved and widely enjoyed treats around the globe. Every year, about 8 million tons of chocolate are produced to satisfy fans of this sweet delight. From dark chocolate bars to filled bonbons, the product has evolved over centuries, but its fundamental charm remains the same. Cacao. Have you ever wondered how those tiny, bitter cacao beans turn into the delicious chocolate bars we find in stores? Transforming this tropical fruit into chocolate is a surprisingly intricate process that unites farmers, engineers, and chocolatiers. Together, they take a traditional craft and scale it up to an industrial operation that produces millions of bars every day. Who invented chocolate? Believe it or not, chocolate wasn't always a solid candy. Its journey began thousands of years ago with the Mayan and Aztec civilizations, who used cacao seeds to make a drink called chocolate. This beverage was bitter yet highly prized, both as nourishment and for its role in religious ceremonies. It wasn't until 1847, however, that the Britishman Joseph Fry invented the first chocolate bar by mixing cocoa powder, cocoa butter, and sugar, allowing the mixture to harden as it cooled. Later, in 1875, Swissman Daniel Peter, working with Henry Nestlé, introduced powdered milk to the recipe, giving birth to the milk chocolate we know and love today. Since then, chocolate has come a long way, but it all started with that revolutionary discovery that forever changed our taste buds. Cacao, the heart of chocolate. The story of chocolate begins in the humid tropics where the cacao tree grows. This tree is not only the soul of chocolate, but it's also a crucial crop for millions of farmers in countries like Ivory Coast, Ghana, Ecuador, and Venezuela. Cacao thrives only in warm, moist climates, areas often known as the Cacao Belt, located near the equator. Cacao pods are vibrant and can be yellow, red, or green, depending on their variety and ripeness. Inside these pods lies a hidden treasure, cacao beans, each wrapped in a sweet, sticky pulp. Although this stage is entirely agricultural, it requires deep expertise from farmers who nurture the trees, prune the branches, and ensure every pod is perfectly ripe before harvest. Harvesting and fermentation. When the pods are ripe, they're picked by hand, a labor-intensive job that demands careful cutting to avoid damaging the tree or its blossoms, which will produce the next crop. After harvesting, the pods are taken to a designated area and opened by hand. Inside, you'll find between 30 and 50 white beans coated in juicy, sugary pulp, a part that's even used in some desserts. For these beans to transform into chocolate, they must undergo two key steps: fermentation and drying. Fermentation is one of the most critical parts of the process. The beans, along with their pulp, are placed in wooden boxes or piled up and covered with banana leaves. Over several days, natural bacteria and yeasts ferment the sugars in the pulp, generating heat and changing the flavor of the beans. This is when they start to develop the distinctive taste we associate with chocolate. After fermentation, the beans are spread out in the sun for several days to dry. This drying reduces moisture, prevents mold, and makes storage and transportation easier. By the end of this phase, the beans turn a dark brown and are ready to be shipped off to chocolate factories around the world. Once the sacks of cacao beans arrive at the factory, they aren't immediately ready for processing. They often carry impurities like stones, stray bits of leaves, husks, and other organic matter collected during transport. The beans are first passed through a series of machines to be thoroughly cleaned. This cleaning starts with vibrating sifters that remove larger fragments like twigs or stones. Additionally, the beans are sorted, either by hand or automatically, discarding those that are too small, misshapen, or damaged, so that only top-quality beans move on to production. Roasting. After cleaning, the beans are immediately roasted, a step that's both crucial and delicate. Roasting releases the aromatic compounds that shape the chocolate's flavor. The beans are placed in rotating drums or automated roasters at temperatures between 120 and 160 degrees Celsius, or 248 and 320 degrees Fahrenheit. However, not all beans are roasted in the same way. Dark, milk, and white chocolates each require a specific roasting method. A quick, high-temperature roast brings out bolder, smokier flavors, while a slow, controlled roast highlights more subtle floral notes. During this process, important chemical reactions known as Maillard reactions occur, transforming the natural components of the cacao by caramelizing sugars and creating hundreds of aromatic compounds. The result is that unmistakable chocolate aroma we all adore. Shelling. Following roasting, the beans undergo a process called shelling, where the outer husks are removed to expose the inner kernels, or cacao nibs. This step is essential because the shells aren't edible and could add unwanted flavors. Specialized machines crack the roasted beans using controlled air blasts and pressure, separating the light husks from the denser nibs. To achieve perfect separation, vibrating screens and industrial vacuums sort the materials by weight and size. In the end, only the nibs remain, ready for grinding. Grinding. The nibs are then fed into mills that grind them into a thick liquid paste known as cocoa liquor. Don't confuse this with alcohol. It simply refers to the liquid state of the cacao. As the nibs are ground, friction heats them up, melting the natural fat, cocoa butter, and turning the mixture into a smooth, dense paste. This cocoa liquor forms the basis of all chocolate. Depending on the recipe, it can be used to produce dark chocolate, milk chocolate, or even cocoa powder. The end result is a uniform paste containing both cacao solids and fat. In advanced factories, the cocoa liquor is tested for quality to ensure it meets the desired consistency and flavor before moving on. Refining. Even though cocoa liquor is the foundation of chocolate, its texture isn't quite there yet. To achieve that signature smoothness, the paste is run through industrial rollers that refine it under very high pressure, breaking it down into incredibly fine particles. The aim is to reduce the particle size to less than 30 microns, roughly the diameter of a human hair, so that no grainy texture is felt on the tongue, resulting in the silky smoothness essential for high-quality chocolate. Conching. One of the most fascinating steps in chocolate production is conching, a process that emerged in the 19th century and transformed the industry. During conching, the chocolate mixture is continuously mixed and aerated in machines called conches. This intensive kneading and stirring can last anywhere from a few hours up to 72 hours, depending on the type of chocolate being produced. Tempering. After conching, the next critical step is tempering, which gives chocolate its shiny finish and that satisfying snap when you bite into it. Cocoa butter contains several types of fat crystals, not all of which are stable. Tempering involves carefully heating and cooling the chocolate at precise temperatures, typically between 28 and 32 degrees Celsius, so that only stable crystals form. This process ensures that the chocolate not only looks beautiful, but also resists moderate heat and stands the test of time, preserving its texture and appearance. Molding and cooling. Once tempered, the chocolate is poured into molds that define its final shape. Depending on the manufacturer, these molds might produce bars, bonbons, or unique figures. The molds are filled with high-precision machinery to avoid trapping air bubbles, then pass through a cooling tunnel where the chocolate slowly hardens at controlled temperatures. This gradual cooling is crucial to lock in the structure of the cocoa butter crystals. When cooling is complete, the chocolate pieces are gently removed from their molds and sent to the final stage, packaging. From tropical plantations to complex industrial processes, and finally into our hands, chocolate remains one of the world's most treasured treats. What seems like a simple bite of chocolate is actually the result of an art form steeped in tradition, innovation, and passion. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on notifications for more fascinating content like this.